you get paid for this? And he just looked at me and he went, crazy, huh? And I knew right then, I'm like, I want that job.
Hello, Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. Welcome back. This is Janice Debo, your host. My guest today is Royce Blake, and he's a pro. So I told him I'll try not to be too intimidated. He was he was on the radio for over 30 years, and I know those types. They really good, really good.
Icy, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Is that the word? Oh goodness. Okay.
You never
Well,
know.
you know, DJs are unpredictable. I know that.
Oh, yes.
Well, you're not my first DJ to interview. I interviewed one 3 times, and then I interviewed a second one. So I've interviewed. You're my third DJ.
Wow. It's got to be a record, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, it's a lot of fun because you're all different. One was a mobile DJ, the other one is a radio host and a programming manager and a mobile DJ. I'm like, geez, can you do more?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yes, I've been on both sides. I've been in management as well as obviously on the air for a long time.
Yeah, well, let's talk about how you got there. So, is there a good story behind all that, like when you were growing up and anything that pointed you in that direction as a
Yeah,
young?
actually, I was on a field trip. You remember those when we were going in school? You went to see, to the dairy to see how milk was made or whatever. Well, one of our field trips was to a local radio station.
Oh,
And I thought, oh wow, what I was had no interest whatsoever. They were pretty much dragging me along. And then I saw this guy in the control room with his feet up on the console, reading a newspaper, with smoking a cigar, uh, with awesome tunes in the background. And I just looked at him and I said, "Do you get paid for this?" And he just looked at me and he went, crazy, huh? And I knew right then, I'm like, I want that job. That's if I can do this, then yes. So, and that started it. And I ended up, that was, gosh, I was a freshman in high school.
oh, I was going
And
to ask you how old you were. Yeah.
maybe it may have been, I don't know, it may have been, maybe I was in junior high, but I was probably 13, 14, something like that. And actually, by the time I graduated high school, we'd built our own little, it wasn't really a radio station. We put speakers up around the campus
Oh,
and we would play music and I would talk. There was a couple of us, but just to interview the students at lunch.
nice.
So that's, that's kind of how it started.
Well, that's great. Now, did life take you in any other directions before you found that dream life of smoking a cigar with your feet propped up?
Yeah. Believe it or not, not really. And my late dad was not too happy about it because I had actually gotten a scholarship
Oh,
to go to USC, and I turned it down to go play disc jockey on the radio. And of course, and now looking back, he was right. I probably should have done that, but the lure of being a radio star was was pulling me in that direction. So, and
that's
I actually started my first radio official professional radio job was in Los Angeles,
okay.
and because that's where I grew up in Southern California. And so I always like to say, yes, I started my radio career in LA and I've been working my way down ever since. So, I mean, that's kind of where it's at. But I did a weekend. I was one of the panelists on a weekend show. It's more like a public service show, that kind of a thing.
Hmm.
But I was on the air. So, I mean, hey,
Yeah.
there you go. But
That's
the other thing you'll find about radio is you move a lot, either that or wait a lot. Because I've never been personally fired. It's always been we're changing format or we're changing ownership. So the guy walks in and says, "Guess what, guys? We're going country. See y'all later." So so you have a choice. You can sit in town and wait for another disc jockey because there's only so many stations in town,
Mhm.
or you can move. So obviously, if you like to eat, you probably have to move. So,
Wow. So it really is true. I mean, I've known someone that did that and they moved a lot. I'm like, really? Is that normal? I didn't think it was the norm, but it is.
well, these days, unfortunately, there's very few humans left in radio as we know it.
Oh no.
So almost everything is syndicated, or I mean, I'm sure you've heard of iHeartRadio. That's one of the huge conglomerates. So they've gone corporate in so many levels, so they don't need. I knew it occurred to me. My I was still doing radio about 5 years ago in Salt Lake City,
Hmm.
and I had to go. I was doing the morning show, but I had to get going on a Saturday to cut a promo that started on Monday morning. Now
Okay.
we had this is a huge building. We had 9 radio stations in the same building. So I go in probably 10 o'clock in the morning, something like that, on a Saturday. Went, cut the promo, went to the cafeteria to get a soda. And as I was walking out, because all the studios were located in the same basic area,
Mhm.
I realized I was the only human in that entire building
Wow.
with 9 radio stations. And I thought, wow, this is over, man.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's really what it hit home for me. But luckily, if I'm going on too much, just dive in, Janice, because I can talk forever.
That's what.
But when you do a morning show, it's a totally different, it's almost like shift work. You actually are, when you go to work, usually getting there around 4:30 or so, 4:45, something like that. It's you, the cops, and the bread trucks. That's about all that's on the road. And by the way, the hardest part isn't getting up at 3:30, it's being funny at 5.
No
That's
kidding.
the hardest part of a morning show
No.
because you better be happy. Nobody cares that you ran over the cat on the way to work or something. Then
No.
shut up and play the song, please. So, I mean, that's kind of, but once you're done, usually at 9 a.m., there's a nap definitely in the future. But
Yeah.
after that, I realized I had a whole day's worth I'm just have a whole day to do something. And that's how I began marketing and studying marketing.
Yeah. So you transitioned and into that. So with the other DJs that I've interviewed and known, they said AI is definitely starting to affect everybody in the industry. And that's a shame because I think the live DJs are fun and then you can call in. I mean, I've had my birthday announced on the radio and that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's
It,
so much fun.
oh yeah, and the request line,
Yeah.
that's long gone, but that has helped me in my psyche anyway to never let how the trolls out there, somebody will leave a bad comment on your post or
Yeah.
send a nasty message. Try answering a radio station request line for a while. Pretty
Oh.
soon people would sit on hold for 30 minutes just to say you suck. And
Oh.
after you get after you, oh, it gets much worse than that. So after a few hundred of those, you start to realize, hey, look, I'm just here to serve. I'm here to put out the best product I possibly can. If you don't like it, guess what? Change the channel. You know what you say to them that really upsets them?
What?
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Then they go explode, their head explodes. So,
Yeah, I've heard some stories. One of the DJs I interviewed some time back made the comment is that it was he was glad no one knew what he looked like. And
right.
but they'd run into his wife into the grocery store and say, "Are you so and so's wife?" And I think he told her to deny it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
I've had, and you always get wow, I didn't think you looked like that. So, I mean, how do you respond to that? I've actually had, this is a crazy story. I've actually had two African American babies named after me.
Really?
Yes. And I think they just like the name Royce,
Uh-huh.
So so they brought their children to the station and they had no idea I was Caucasian. So, and they were both really nice, but once again, talk about an awkward moment. You're like, wow, I'm like, gosh, I'm on, but I used to, there's tons of promo pictures of me and I do TV commercials for the station. So it's not like, they didn't dig deep enough. I'm like, my picture's everywhere. So
Oh,
anyway,
that's funny. Oh my God.
strange stuff.
Yeah, that's a great story. That really is. And how much did you move? Did you move like every year or two?
I think I counted it up once. I think it's 17 times. But the bonus part of that is every time you move, every city has something special about it. In
Yeah.
Kansas City, it was the barbecue.
Oh,
In Portland, Oregon, well, you know this well. It's seafood.
uh-huh.
And I mean, all of a sudden you're looking at fresh salmon, literally caught yesterday or the day before for 50 cents a pound or something.
Yeah.
So every little place had a little charm to it. So
Yeah.
and I obviously stayed, I did mornings in San Diego for almost 6 years. So it's not like I'm moving every year. So and it depends. And I spent a long time in Salt Lake City, which I grew to love because it's a great place to raise kids,
Okay.
because obviously the Latter-day Saints have a lot of kids. And so, you've got a lot of kid-friendly environments around there. So,
I bet.
once again, it's, do what you have with what you got.
Exactly. Exactly. So that I just really, really love your stories. And um, so on a personal note, do you have kids and are they following in your footsteps?
Oh gosh, no. Thank goodness. But yes, I have two great kids. One is a police officer. He's still in Utah.
Wow.
And my daughter is a medical editor, and she's in Northern California.
Oh,
And we play a fun game. By the way, becoming a medical editor is extremely difficult. I didn't realize this, but the little slips you get with your prescriptions, all the warnings and all that stuff. That's not all she does, but she writes those.
oh wow.
And our running joke is, what disease are you working on this week? Every time, and like this week, it's overactive bladder. So, I mean, it's it's always some kind of crazy.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of a medical editor, but I've never really
Yeah, and
thought.
apparently it's extremely hard to be, certified. So,
Well, good for her. That's great. Any grandchildren in that picture?
yes, thanks for making me feel even older, Janice. Yes.
Quite welcome. You're welcome.
I have a grandson that's just starting junior high and a granddaughter that is in elementary school.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's great.
Well, I tell some of the people I meet, online or whatever, and I'm sure you run into this too, or somebody helping in a store that's much younger than you. And I always tell them like, look, buddy, I've got socks older than you, okay? So let's take it down a notch here.
Exactly. I know those young upstarts, right?
You never know. Of course, until there's a tech problem or something, and then it's like, hey, Bob's only 17. I don't care. I really need him right now. And of course, they walk in and go, here, click, click, and something that took me 3 hours to figure out.
Well, and in
So,
some cases it's a 4-year-old, you know.
yes, I know.
They're so smart on this stuff. And yeah, in the conversations I have, I'm like, yes, I do remember rotary dial phones. Okay. I
Yep,
do. I really do. And confession time, I sold voicemail when it was just getting started. So, you
there
know,
you go. And yes, I remember cars without seat belts and
Yep.
being able to ride in the back of a pickup truck.
Oh, me too.
So,
Yeah,
so,
hay rides in the back of the pickup. Weren't they the best?
and we got our water from garden hoses, and we lived.
And we lived. Yeah, we're living to tell you about it now. So
Absolutely.
that is fantastic. What was your favorite place to live?
Wow, it's hard. Once again, everything had a benefit. I would have to go with San Diego just for lifestyle
Okay.
because you can literally go from the beach to the mountains in an afternoon. In fact, we did that many a time. Go to the beach in the morning and camp in the mountains, at night. So I mean, it's awesome. It's also very expensive, so you pay the sunshine tax plus all the other fun in California these days. So,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
there's a lot of stuff going on out there. And so this is great. I've got curious about your favorite genre of music. What was your favorite to DJ?
most people don't realize this, but no matter what you play, you're going to end up hating
Oh,
because you guys hear it maybe 3, 4 times a day. We hear it thousands of times. So,
it's true.
it's hard. I mean, there are certain songs. My playlist, just a playlist on, from Spotify or whatever on my phone would freak people out
Oh, really?
because I have favorite songs,
Hmm.
but man, they go from the 50s to really today, So I mean, it's just totally random artists. But
Okay.
there are certain songs, yeah, you crank, and obviously studios are great for sound. I mean, huge JBL speakers, pounding on, each side of your body. So yeah, it's awesome for that. But yeah, if you hear the same song, and some songs, I don't know why, because it's a big hit and a lot of people's favorite, but I grew to hate A Horse with No Name by America to the point where when I took the job in Salt Lake City, it was in my contract that I was never required to play A Horse with No Name.
Are you serious?
And that's what you have the same look that the negotiators had. They're like, what? What is this? I'm sorry. I just hate that song. I don't care about your horse and I don't want to hear it again. And yeah, I mean, it's a great song. I get that, but some just stick out. There are many that were like, one hit wonders, right? Novelty songs that also, drove me crazy just because Ring My Bell by Anita Ward, if you
Oh,
remember that song,
oh yeah.
drove me crazy was pew, pew, pew. You hear that in your headphones? It gets really hard after a while. So,
One of
my
my one of mine that I dislike is September, and it seems to play all the time.
Fun and Fire.
Yeah, September,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
See, I love it. That's a fine song to me, but we got to remember it's just like marketing. It's subjective. You're never anytime I talk to a client and I ask them, okay, my number one question whenever I'm dealing with, writing something and producing any type of content is who is this for? Who
Mhm.
exactly is this for? And, a large percentage will say everybody,
Oh,
because of course they believe in their product. And I'm like, yeah, not really,
oh,
because you're going to waste a lot of money trying to market to everybody.
yeah.
So it's the same with broadcasting or anything in this world. And today, when we have so many choices,
Oh my.
it gets harder and harder.
So let's talk about marketing because you transitioned. Let's talk about that transition and what inspired you to make it and what are you doing now?
Well, I remember the reason, and I don't even know if it's still available, but it was a book by a guy named Jeff Paul, and it was called How to Make Money in Your Underwear. And I thought, you know
That's
what? That's it. That's exactly what I need. So, and I read it, and it was basically copywriting is basically what it is. And so that's how I began, and I still do. As a matter of fact, here we are in the midst of summer in Phoenix, where I am, where, last week it hit 117. I'm working on Christmas catalogs for jewelers. So here I am talking about how cold it is outside when I can't touch my car, Janice. You know what I'm saying? So
Uh,
yeah,
Wow. So you
yeah.
started out doing copywriting, and tell our audience what it is you do now and how you help people because you,
Well, I still do a lot of copywriting, but I become more of a marketing strategist. I've
okay.
been a marketing coach for over 17 years now, and that's where we kind of look at your whole business and
Hmm.
decide, exactly which direction you're going and, how is it going to work. I'll give you a quick example. Somehow I fell into working with jewelers. I still don't know why. It must have been at a conference or something. By the way, before I forget, if somebody's looking for clients, always check out associations, because if you go to an association, if you have any interest in that topic or that industry, go to an association event, because I guarantee you'll be the only person talking about marketing or copywriting or anything in
Mm.
that entire room. And I think I went to a jewelers association
Oh,
dinner or something.
okay.
So anyway, I have actually three jewelry clients right now, but they both decided they wanted to put on events at about the same time.
Mm.
One is up north, he's in Massachusetts, and he's very staid, very proper. And he wanted wine and cheese and a quartet,
Oh.
and the whole, this is their best customers would get like a private invite, so it was like a private sale for their best customers.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy is in Alabama. He decided, well, we got together, and he's crazy anyway, in a good way, so we decided to put together a zombie party.
Oh,
So
really?
people came dressed as zombies, and smoke, I mean, fog machines and the whole 9 yards, crazy music and stuff. And he had the same kind of a private sale, and they both made over 200 grand in that one event. But
Oh,
how different can you be? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So you really have to figure out who are you targeting and who's this for. So I mean, that's the number one rule when it comes to marketing anything, really.
Yeah. That is funny. That's a great story. And so you make recommendations depending on the industry that you're working with or the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I don't know how many times I've heard, I need Facebook ads. Really? Why? Well, because Stan the tire guy down the street runs them, and they're working great for him. So, I'm like, okay,
oh,
well, let's step back exactly. Who are you targeting? Who's this for?
yeah.
So, and, speaking of AI, I mean, it is changing daily, hourly almost, really. And I'm sure everyone's seen all the different, platforms you can use and iterations of those platforms. Right when you got it figured out, they up it, right? They
Yeah.
now we got Chat GPT 5 out now, and agents and all that great stuff. I think we're going to enter an age where people are going to swing back to craving real. And because AI is getting so good that there's a lot of things you're not going to be able to tell if that's a real human, that's a
Yeah.
real voice. And that's when personal stories and personal insights and things like that are really going to stick out. And mistakes,
Hmm.
you know, are human.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, AI is great, but boy, you're right. I had somebody tell me, I forget when I interviewed him, but he was talking about how AI, he was using it to answer phones or something and it sounded like him. I oh I'm like, no,
Yeah.
but about 4 years ago, I was on the board of directors for economic development. And this was like in 2019, I think they had a speaker at that luncheon that was talking about what's coming with AI. And and I was sitting with the assistant to a senator, And she and I are poking, and she goes, "I'll be gone. I'll be gone when that happens. I'll be gone. I'll be gone." Well, I'm still here. So
Right.
it's crazy, but you're right. The human connection, you can't, even like this, we're talking. You're not a machine, I'm not a machine. And we can interact with each other's conversation versus let me interview a robot. And how do you feel today, Mr. Robot?
Yes, I know. Yes. And they don't take jokes very well, especially my kind of jokes. So,
Yeah, they don't have much of a sense of humor.
it's kind of scary to think, but I heard this a couple of days ago. These generations will be the first ones born where every device pretty much they use is going to be smarter than them. And if you think about it, yep, your phone's smarter,
Mhm.
your computer's smarter. So,
Your TV.
TV, your refrigerator, probably.
And some of these smart appliances, I have to tell you, what could possibly go wrong if the car is driving without you? What could
Yeah,
possibly go wrong? I am not a fan of some of this stuff, so maybe you can call me old school, but I my dad had a an amazing telephone number memory. He could remember phone numbers for his entire life. And
really.
oh yeah, and now okay, so what's their phone number? I
Right. Yeah. Good luck.
yeah. Um, so it's interesting, but our generation is seeing we're really, really honored to see going from so basic. Look at our transition. And
Right.
but you know what we bring to the table, Royce, you can speak to this. We bring wisdom.
Absolutely. And well earned wisdom, by the way. You get wisdom by basically screwing up, if you think about it. Those are the ones we remember anyway.
Yep.
And which I always love to mention because I'm looking right at it. I have a big sign right above my monitor here that reminds me anytime like imposter syndrome or anything starts to hit. The sign, I'll give you the PG version. It says, "Hey, you screwed up way bigger things than this." And it reminds me every day that, don't worry about it. No one's, I used to say it all the time on the radio. Yeah, no one is going to die here, right? When we're making radio, we're playing records, we're doing a newscast, whatever it is. No
Yeah,
one's going to die
exactly, exactly. Yeah, that is so, so true. And I'm sure our audience figured out the not PG version. But we really do have a lot of wisdom to share with up and coming generations. So, what wisdom would you give our audience before we wrap it up in a few minutes? Well, talk about screw ups. I was going to ask you that. What was your biggest lesson from a screw up?
I learned that, and it's true in, let's say, 90% of the cases, is forgiveness is much easier than permission. So I once signed for a $1.5 million phaser, which is part of a transmitter. And they, dropped it off in this new building. Uh, Brilliantly, it wouldn't fit through the door. I mean, this thing is the size of a semi trailer. And so they had to cut the door, and all the officials from the radio station had to leave because they'd been there for 5 hours or whatever. So I was the only radio guy left that actually worked for the station. I was a disc jockey, not an engineer or a manager or anything.
Yeah.
So they're like, somebody's got to sign for this. I'm like, I'll sign. So, next day, Royce, did you sign for this? Yes, Bob, I did. What you want? It was $1.5 million. Well, what you want? Do you want him to take it back? You know? So,
Oh my gosh.
and,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the hook for that one. So I don't know if our audience or if you've seen the movie The Help, and not The Help, Hidden Figures, where
oh yes,
the ladies from the
NASA.
NASA. Well, that reminds me of the story where they didn't measure the doorway for the IBM computer.
Right. Exactly. Same thing.
They had to go cut open the wall to get it in there. And
Yeah.
so yeah, yes, audience, there was a day when there were no computers or they were so big you could not even begin to carry them. So
Right. Absolutely.
yeah, the technology,
Yes, I said a lot of things on the radio that I would never get away with now.
isn't that
Yeah.
crazy? That's
And
so
yeah, but and no, nor am I repeating them here.
crazy. Well, that's so true. And it's a shame that because one thing I try to teach people and my clients and when I speak, to be yourself. It's taken me decades to figure out, okay, I've done all this for that person, or I did this and I did that. And now who am I? And that's the hardest question you'll ever answer.
Absolutely. And people want connection. They want, there's nothing better than getting a referral. And a share on social media is like word of mouth, if you
It is.
think about it.
It
If
is.
someone gets a recommendation from a friend or someone they know, carries so much more weight than any ad or any content you can ever create. And the way you build connection is by doing this, being real,
Yeah.
and actually getting to know people. I love talking to people, and here we are in an age where I don't know if you've run across this, Janice, but people hate talking on the phone now.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the younger generation. The
Yeah.
latest one I saw there's a name for it, I can't remember, but when you call someone, they won't even say hello. They want you to say the first word after they pick up the phone. I'm like, what are we doing here? Let's talk. Let's talk to each other. That's how
Yeah.
we learn and that's how we connect.
That's right. So in the theme of my podcast, where has courage and confidence, you've mentioned connections, so that's cool. Where has courage and confidence played a role in your life? Anything significant?
Yeah, I'm a big, proponent of trying new things. And of course, being a marketer, testing them. You have to test stuff. You need to test and see what works and what doesn't, and learn to, a lot of people don't like saying fail fast, maybe pivot fast is a nicer way to say it, but I'd rather throw stuff out there, test it, and see what works. And I'm doing that right now by, taking because it's hard to explain to people how creative you have to be on the radio and, relate that to copywriting. A lot of people don't get that. So I'm kind of pivoting now to helping podcasters with their interviewing skills because I see a ton of stuff out there about getting your podcast set up, about tech, about studio lighting, but nothing about actually talking to people. And that's what I'm doing. It's on my website. It's simply called voiceofroyce.com. If you just go to voiceofroyce.com, and I do have a free 5-day email crash course on interviewing skills. It's called Podcast Excellence
And it's
Crash
good.
Course for Podcast Excellence, because
Yeah.
I've interviewed well over 200, mostly celebrities, over my radio career. And it's important. Things like, how to get a guest to shut up, how to get a guest to open up,
You don't do
things
that.
like that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, well, if they're on the phone, they can't see that,
That's true. That's
so you know, it, believe me, I've learned a few tricks over the years. And talk about weird people. Some of the people I've interviewed, you
well,
know,
yeah.
amazing.
I hear you. Well, I hope I pass the podcaster's test today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
See,
love
you're just being real.
Yeah, I
You
love
know,
to have fun. And I've had a couple of interviews and a couple of interviewees, people coming into my podcast, and they say, well, do you have a list of questions? And here's my introduction. And honestly, I can't sound real when I'm doing that, but I
right?
honor what they want. I just don't like it. And
Yes.
and so I'm working on a joint podcast with someone that we're going to kick off in September. The two of us are both podcasters, but we're doing a joint one and we've come up with a theme and what we want to do. But today it was so funny. He's like, he was a doctor in his past life. So he's like, well, we need a plan. We need to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, no. He goes, okay, clearly you're better at flowing than I am. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, I just want people to be themselves, and that's why I don't give people a protocol because, I want to hear your stories, be they funny or sad, if you need to make somebody cry or laugh, whatever. That's you. And I want you to be you, and I'll be me.
Absolutely. And that's what people appreciate is real. They want humans. And this thought that we only have an attention span of 7 seconds, I always ask, then how come Joe Rogan's number one and his interviews are 3 hours long?
Hey,
So, it really depends on what you're saying, doesn't it?
it really does. And I've had so many different people on my podcast. I've done panels, and I love doing panels because you never know what's going to come out of a panel discussion. They're, you get three or four people in there, and it's like, okay, everybody raise your hand when you want to talk. Don't be.
Right. Let's not step on each other. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a even in our technology age, this is a great way to connect with people you would never meet. You may never see their face in person, yet you get to know each other. And I I have a friend who does he's got his own YouTube channel that's very successful. And he said he handles a conversation better on the phone. He feels like it's more relatable than even on video because you're not distracted by watching the camera, watching,
Right.
yeah. And he's right. It is more genuine, but you're right about people. Well, we get spammed to death, Royce. We get spammed to death.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not going away. Yeah. And, the one of the reasons is it's effective. They wouldn't keep running. Anytime you see an ad more than once, that means it's working. So, they're not going to turn the spigot off. And,
Yeah,
you never know. It's obviously, once again, subjective. Obviously, there's people that tune in to the Super Bowl just for the ads
I know.
because they know it's going to be creative.
I
So,
know. Yeah, I'm not a fan of commercials. And the one DJ that I interviewed, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be straight up. I can't stand the commercials. He goes, I know
right,
that's what pays for everything. So,
absolutely,
so I get it. I get the need for it. It's just, I'm like a lot of people. I just go, oh, mute that thing until the commercial's over. But,
right.
but
Yep.
I understand the thought behind it and the reasoning behind it. So in marketing, and any other wise words, anything you like, and we're going to wrap it up. But I want you to share whatever you want to share and tell people how to be in touch with you.
Well, once again, you need to test. That is number one, is try things because anytime you think you know what somebody likes,
Mhm.
what are you basing that on? Do some research. And these days it is so easy to
Yeah.
just use those large language models to, ask questions about if you want to I don't know, do surf clothing, then I guarantee you there's a surf clothing association. Man, I wish I picked a better sentence to try to pronounce right there. Find out what's going on in that industry. I bet you they have a magazine too. So I
Oh,
mean, do some research. You'd be amazed at how many associations there are for anything you can possibly think of. And
yeah.
then don't be afraid to talk to owners if you're just starting a business. Best research is people that you've already served, customers, things like that. And you ask them, look, I know you like this. I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts on that? And you'll get better insights by asking those questions. But don't be afraid to try new stuff, and that's what I'm doing. it's still a challenge because it's fairly new. And I'm asking podcasters to admit that, you know what? I kind of suck at talking to people. That's a hard ask, So, we'll see how it goes. I'm once again, if it doesn't work out, I don't know. I'll be selling surf clothing or something easier to say. So,
Good.
so
That's good.
yes, voiceofroyce.com is the place to go, and
Good.
you can find all the info there.
And I
And connect with me on LinkedIn if you're not.
yes, and I recommend the 5 day thing on your
It's the email
yeah,
5 day crash course to
yeah,
podcast excellence,
that's
and
great.
grab it while it's still free. Each one has pages and pages of actionable tips. It's not fluff, and each day has an extended video of me explaining the concepts to you. And once again, it's all free.
Yay, we
I
like
like free.
free. We like free. Free is good. And then there's your book that is on your website too.
Yes, yes, and that is called How to Keep an Audience: Interviewing Skills from a 30-Year Radio Pro. And that tells some crazy funny stories about Hulk Hogan and Bob Barker and other dead people.
Oh,
So, sorry,
well, the interviews were done before they
it's
were
the
dead.
radio in me. I can't help it, Janice.
Well, that's okay, but as long as they were interviewed before they died.
They were. They
Okay.
were. Both were awesome.
That's good because there are people who talk to the dead. So we just want to clarify that.
No. Yeah, I had several of those on too.
Yep, I've had some on too. It's fun.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being my guest. This has been so much fun. I knew it would be though, because you could always go to stand-up comedy if the podcaster thing doesn't work out.
Uh, I I've done it a couple of times. Did not go well,
Oh,
but
okay.
I blame the writers.
Oh, well, they're the ones you
Yeah,
yeah.
there are none.
Okay, well, thank you again, and thank you, audience, for being again being our listener at Courage Confidence Connections podcast. And it's Friday when we're recording. It's in the afternoon, so if my mouth didn't work right, just blame it on the time of day. Anyway,
Don't start saying surf clothing.
don't start saying, yeah. Oh, that Peter Piper picked up anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you to our audience. Thank you again, Royce. And we'll be back with another Courage, Confidence, Connections podcast. Janice Debo, your host. And you can look for all the information at the end of this recording.